Recent data from eHarmony's 2025 dating diaries found that 28% of Gen Z singles said differing political views could cause them to turn down a date, compared with 21% of millennials. For eHarmony, too, this is like boomer. What Gen Zers are using eHarmony? An October poll from the New York Times and Siena College poll showed a striking 51-point gender divide among Gen Z voters. Women aged 18 to 29 favored former Vice President Kamala Harris over President Donald Trump by 38 points, while men in the same group favored Trump by 13 points. No other generation exhibits a gap this wide. Sheesh. Sheesh. I don't want to give women credit because they're annoying, but, you know, seems like they're out here trying to save civilization. Gen Z plus eHarmony equals sugar babies. You think so? I'm 100% convinced the falling birth rates are caused by plastic pollution. Nah, it genuinely, it seems like the main cause of the falling birth rates is just that people used to be more bored than they are now. And that's it. People are less bored, there's more stuff to do, and also the expectations for raising a child are a lot higher. I mean, birth rates have fallen literally everywhere. It doesn't even seem to be that much determined by politics. They've fallen in Saudi Arabia, you know? Is birth rates falling bad? Yeah. I mean, if you want, like, society to be stable, you want to eventually hold it at a more or less consistent population, give or take. Isn't that like a developed countries thing? Yeah, but the birth rate is falling everywhere. Everywhere. Hot countries, cold countries, poor countries, wealthy countries, countries with a lot of provisions for like maternity leave and like the government gives you a care package or whatever, countries where those things don't happen. Everywhere, all across the board. I think a lot of it is just capital kind of like forcing people to optimize every second of their life or they fall behind. A lot of it is also like social and cultural standards about child rearing are shifting more towards individual care, which is really, really difficult for parents. And also it's them dang video games. Like, why raise a kid when you can spend your entire life having fun? Women having rights? Yeah, but again, they're dropping in Saudi Arabia too. They're dropping in like sub-Saharan Africa, right? They're dropping in places where women's rights are not exactly great. And plus the availability of birth control, it just seems like if people are going to no matter what. And if people have the ability to not have a kid, I think most people are just going to choose that. If you gave birth control, like made it ubiquitous 600 years ago, I bet you there would have been a lot less children. Isn't it better for the climate if there are less people on Earth? Is it really so bad there are 8 billion people on the planet? I wouldn't mind the global population dropping to like 6 billion. Okay, but think long term. The replacement rate isn't, or the birth rate isn't dropping because we're reaching a cap. It's dropping because of other conditions. It's not going to drop to 6 billion, you stupid bitch. It's going to drop to 0. If you have a below replacement rate birth rate, eventually the population drops to none. It's not tapering down as we approach a cap. It's tapering down, period. It keeps going down. Like, that's the implication of the data isn't that we're going to level off at 6 billion humans. It's that the human population just goes down irreparably. Can we get it below 0? This is not a safe space for antinatalists. I'll have you warned. You've been warned. Don't get banned. People who celebrate the death of the human civilization when they get banned for 30 days from Vosh's chat. No! It's not fair! No! Sorry. I feel like antinatalism is a very reactionary tendency. I agree. It's like a subset of misanthropy, and misanthropy is like stupid edgelord bullshit that I don't respect. You should really just add NL's I can't emote. No getting around the accusations, huh? What would be a reasonable solution now? I don't know. Have all the birthing being done by like a birth mothers, like as a job. You try to reach some kind of quota for different districts, or I don't know, mandates or something. I don't know. See, it seems like all the answers are pretty scary, but you know, maybe it could be like a tour of service kind of thing, right? Like if nobody wants to have or raise kids on their own, it's like, well, rather than serving in the military for 4 years, you actually get like bread, which a lot of you would volunteer for without pay, to be fair. So I don't want to hear any complaining. You know the breeding camps was a Nazi thing, right? Can you not be dumb, please? When the pro-natalist camp talks about raising birth rates, they are talking about white people. They want a white ethnostate to raise white birth rates. I'm just talking about the general trend of birth rates declining. I don't give a shit if we're black, brown, white. And I don't think there should be like coercion to it either. I think that for a lot of people who are born with a womb, if you were like yeah, you'll get like a really cushy job basically, and for 2 years you literally just have to like sit around and eat enough food to sustain yourself and the fetus. This is literally no different than what the Trump regime is proposing with their medals from other shit. I mean, it is different in a variety of ways. Like the fact that I'm not talking about conforming to the typical parental structure, but rather doing it as a kind of civic service, which really cuts away. Like it's pretty anti-fascist because fascists protect the family unit as a like micro chauvinist emblem of state power, and I'm talking more about it being like a civil service thing. But you know, I mean, whatever, go off, king or queen or whatever. I don't care about pronouns basically because I'm woker than you. I don't know. I don't think having children should be a civic service. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. So if the birth rates are falling and nobody's having kids and the population's decreasing and it just keeps going down and keeps going down, what would you do? What would you suggest to fix that? It'll stabilize, genius. You have literally no reason to believe that. The birth rate is falling even in Iceland, a country with like 5 people. There's no evidence to suggest that the birth rate will stabilize. For some reason humans will just be like, yeah, I want to have kids now because the country they live in has 40% fewer people. There's no evidence of that. Parental leave, tax credit, free healthcare and childcare. What else can you do? They have that in a bunch of European countries. Birth rates plummeted. Make it easier to raise kids. Okay, sure. But like wealthy people are also having fewer kids. So it doesn't seem like it's a wealth thing or a time thing or like countries where people get lots of state offered provisions, you know, lots and lots and lots of stuff from the government to have kids, still not really moving the needle that much. Then what is it? I don't know. Nobody knows. It really does seem like people would just rather play dang video games. Like the evolutionary incentive to having children is that it feels good when you, right? But now that we can without having kids is a choice, and it's a choice a lot of people are not making. In Poland, you literally get paid monthly for each child you're raising at the moment, and it's not helping. Yeah. The antinatalists are still rearing up. Don't make your misanthropy my problem, mother. The people are still doing it. There are still people in chat being like, here's my novel solution to the birth rate collapse. We let the only sentient species in the universe that we've seen black holes, we've measured the speed of light, we've produced art and culture, the likes of which might be unrivaled in all the cosmos. Let's let it die out because we don't want to talk about the basic logistics demographic question. You're not welcome here. Yeah, like if you hate yourself and you want to die, don't make that my problem. Okay, I've got an actual solution, okay? Genetic engineering, and we make babies less stupid and annoying. Like, what if the first, 3 to 4 years of a baby's life were sped up, basically? So you didn't have that awful, parenthood is never sleeping and wiping their butts 24/7, period, you know? Like, what if they were, pogged up to the gills a little bit when they came out? You know what I mean? Like, you have a kid and it's like, oh, don't worry, in 6 weeks, they'll be making their own meals. Bam. Pretty good, right? That's why babies should be raised by the state instead. Well, I mean, I don't necessarily have an issue with the idea of community child rearing. Raised by the state kind of implies like a doctrinal approach towards that I disagree with, you know? But if you mean like public school from day one or something, or like they're taken care of in nurseries or whatever, like we've done that for all of human history, yeah. Like kids' parents die, they're in an orphanage, they're in a nunnery, they're in a nursery, you know, they get raised by the school. Like, yeah, if you could really beef that up, right, and make it like, oh wow, you know, you're like a little kid, look at all this wonderful shit you get to enjoy and explore, because a huge portion of society and the wealth of society is directed towards making, you know, this a good experience for you. That could be workable, you know. Yeah, no, that quality of life for the kid would be hellish though. I don't think that's necessarily innately true. I don't think that's innately true. I don't think there's anything special about the nuclear family that like magically makes that a better child rearing environment than like being raised by the village or whatever, the way we did for a long time. But obviously it'd have to be done well. But it's the same with nuclear families. Like what happens if you're a kid and you're born to shitty parents? That happens literally all the time to like billions of people, like nuclear family defenders when posed that question, don't think about it. Okay, it happens all the time, but okay. Yeah, sorry, loser. Should have been born to good parents. Why is it called the nuclear family? Because the term came about in the atomic age. It was like the meant to be it, along with like suburban development, the white picket fence, two parents, 2.5 children, a dog. Like it came about during the atomic age. It's like in the new nuclear world, this is what a family looks like. Maybe just communal childcare. Yeah. Live births per woman. Man, look at that. That is crazy. Live births per woman, and the range of the chart is 1.6 to 1.2. Like the chart's range doesn't even reach replacement rate. That's not good. No, it's not. It's not good at all, actually. It's actually like really bad. Still not as bad as Korea. Well, Korea is literally the worst in the entire world. So, yeah. Korea is below 1. This might make housing prices better. Well, it's kind of crazy though, huh? France is doing the best because we all know they love romance. Italy's cratered, Spain's cratered, Greece is cratered, Poland is cratered. Vosh countries that are good to live in have close to replacement rates. No, they don't. Look at Sweden and Finland and shit. These are countries that have literally like the best social provisions, the best like childcare assistance. France isn't even at replacement level. Like, no. What's Russia look like? Not good. Is 2 replacement level? Like 2.05 when you account for kids dying or whatever. France has a higher birth rate because they get immigrants from sub-Saharan and North Africa. That's true. Keep in mind, like, a lot of the reason these numbers are as high as they are is because of immigrants from countries where they still have a higher birth rate, you know? Well, we're not talking about population increase, Skynet. We're talking about fertility rate. So this isn't affected by immigration. Is an immigration the solution or something? Well, no. Because because the birth rate's dropping in the countries with the higher birth rates as well. We have the 4-day work week. That's good. Israel's the only developed nation with a high birth rate. Yeah, but even that's tapering off. I mean, Israel's still in its infancy, so it's not like they haven't really like leveled off from their big, colonizer boom. The nuclear family refers to the nuclear structure of the family, treating the parents as a nucleus. Okay, well, I like my explanation better, personally. Saudi Arabia fertility rate from 2005 to 2016. In only 11 years, they went from 3.4 to 2.5. Jesus Christ. It's not even a woman's rights thing. You're looking at death? No, you're looking at births per woman. It's the plastic, yo. Dude, it's not the plastic. It's not the this isn't happening because a bunch of people are infertile. If you want to have a kid, you can breed someone. It's not the plastic. It's not. It's just not. It's not a bunch of people like raw dogging and then they're like, well, no baby, even though I keep coming in you unprotected. Well, like that's not what it is. You're not you're not engaging with the reality of the situation. Are sperm counts not falling? Yeah, they are, but people, that's still not why this is happening. Isn't there a spoonful of microplastics in our body? What if it formed an internal condom or something? That's right. Every time you come, all the sperm's getting caught by like a little condom at the end of the vas deferens. Are we going to shoot down theories all day with lol no? Yeah, if they're wrong. Yes. Dude, I'm telling you, the reason people aren't having kids is because there's other shit to do. That's it. It's that simple. For all of human history, wretched poor people who had work to do all day, backbreaking nonstop labor, still had lots and lots of kids. And the reason why is because having kids wasn't a choice. There was no protection, not really. So eventually, you were going to have kids. There wasn't really a choice involved. Now there is a choice, and also, we have better things to do. But you just said the cool countries with amazing worker rights are plummeting too, so what's the solution? What would worker rights have to do with what I just said? It's not like, what I'm saying, it's totally independent of, there is nothing the government can give you that would keep having a kid from being an enormous drain on your time and money. It's simply not possible. It's not possible. You could subsidize every single thing children need, and it wouldn't change the fact that once you have a kid, your life is about that kid. There's other shit to do now, man. There's like Elden Ring Night Rain is coming out soon. Are you gonna have a kid? I've got like 7,000 watching right now. It's just a tough subject. No need to run from it. God, look at the Saudi Arabia. Look at that, man. From 1960, 7.6 children per woman. All the way down to 2.39. Hypocritical much? How is that hypocritical of me to make a joke about you guys being my kids? Which was a joke, by the way. Don't get any ideas. Amish fertility rate is growing? Yeah, of course it is. Because their lives suck, they have nothing else to do, and they don't use condoms. They fix the problem. Aren't we overpopulated, though? Nah, not really. If it's an S-curve, isn't there actually a good chance the trend levels off? No, because it's still going down in developed countries, and it's already not rounded off below replacement rate. It's still going down, and it's trending negative, and it's already below 2. So what do we do then? I've already answered that. Why do people get so weird about this topic? It's an obvious, objective topic of discussion. It's not an immediate problem. It's not going to blow the world up tomorrow. Why does but it's a fact. Listen, I'm sorry this discourse has largely been hijacked by white supremacists who want to who fantasize about rebuilding Hyperborea so they can have their 14-year-old virginal white trad wife wearing a sundress or whatever. I understand that the discourse has been tainted, okay? You know that because you watched it from me. Vosh, aren't you aware that fertility rate discourse is dominated by neo-Nazis? Yes, I'm aware. Idiot. Jesus, where do you know I know that. It's just a logistics problem. It's probably solvable. Yeah, we're just about reaching below replacement rate in the global average. Right here, 2023, live births per woman, 2.25. Vosh, I don't think you realize that the population is going up. I am shocked that you know how to use a computer with the IQ that you have. The birth rate declining doesn't mean the population is declining. The birth rate declining means the rate of the population's increase is declining, which means that it will eventually decline. I've never heard anyone in politics talk about this except for right-winger fash types. Leftists will not pick up on this, I fear. The thing that bothers me, I guess, is the fact that this is an objective problem. So the fact that this is a problem is not ideological. Mass population decline is already an issue in places like Korea and Japan and will be a major problem objectively, just in terms of resource allocation, the economy, so on. It's not an ideological problem, it's a real one. And it definitely is a little weird that a bunch of lefties, when confronted with it, will defensively respond with well, I think that it would be okay if the human civilization dies out and the one light in the cosmos is extinguished and the one unique flower of sentience in an otherwise cold and barren cosmos was just removed from existence. You sound like a demon. Why are you doing that? I don't understand. If you don't want to exist, don't make that my problem. I don't understand why that's a default. I get it. You're performatively indicating that you don't agree with the white supremacists who disingenuously advocate for this, because white supremacists don't actually care about stuff that preserves the human species. They love shit that destroys it. They're not opposed to climate change. They don't stop war. They're not humanitarian. We know they're lying. I'm not. So why don't we like talk normally? I don't get it. Why the whole like, well, actually, I don't think that life is good. My political position on life is akin to that of Satan. So what about that, Nazi? I have no respect for you antinatalists. I hope you know that. Jesus. Vosh, no one is saying that, lol. I have personally banned multiple people saying that and then refrained from banning other people who have said that. Is life net good or net bad? You don't understand. There is no net good or net bad without life. You don't even get the metric without life. How long did it take for fertility to fall from more than 6 children per woman to fewer than 3 children per woman? United Kingdom, Poland, USA, Greece, China and Iran. God damn. This is veering into debate bro territory. Uvis, I don't understand why you're being annoying. You think I don't recognize you? You think I don't know what you've been up to? Debate bro territory? What are you talking about? I'm just talking. Uvis is a Disco Elysium dev. So you're saying that if I permanently ban them, they'll have more time to work on the sequel? Don't convince me. Seems like most of the world had the birth rate crater in the 90s. What was going on? For a lot of countries, industrialization, access to birth control, big social upheaval, you know? Big change. Yeah. 1910 for UK, but 1996 for Iran, 1978 for China. Skinny pants. Yeah, maybe. So everyone in favor of genetically modifying babies so they pop out kind of like self-sufficient? We're all good with that? BPF was onto something years ago. Dude, we were like 50 points away from having an actual conversation there. You know? Leaving aside the whole like disingenuous, not actually caring about birth rates, but wanting the white ethno-state thing. Like the obvious problem with that. Like when people like him talk about birth rates or like mandating increases in birth rates, they basically mean camps. Or like you know, like an ethno-nationalist project. But we were so far from even acknowledging that point in the topic because he couldn't even talk about like what did move the needle, you know? I think when I think about like how to solve this, child rearing should be considered an act of civil service because it objectively is. It used to be. When humans lived in villages and tribal communities, the people who would dedicate most of their time to raising the kids, that was like a job. It wasn't like a job in the sense that you got paid for it necessarily, but it was respected and valued as like a contribution to society, you know? And it takes a lot of work. It's literally like the most valuable work there is, right? It's very, very important. And it's always been, it's just really weird that in the modern day, child rearing is not considered a civil service at all. At all. Not even a little bit. Like if you have kids, it's like well, that's a nice lifestyle choice you did, you know? Unironically, neoliberalism salt to an extent. There are like older trends pulling on it, but like it's a component. There's like a concurrent, you know, a concurrent force there. Remember when we read that article in Russian fertility camps? Why? Yeah, I do remember. What does that have to do with what I'm talking about? For most of human history, we regarded child rearing as a kind of civil service. We probably should do that in the future, you know? Weird mentality, a little bit, when you think about it. Like, you have a town, let's say, with 1,000 people, and then there's like 50 or like 100 little kids in the town. And every parent's like, I'm going to make it so my kid gets the things the other kids don't. They're going to compete and win. It's like, I don't know. Shouldn't all the kids be like raised to be chill dudes? A little bit? Like I don't know. Like, can you imagine if they were doing that back in the tribes? Vosh, that sounds really Brave New Worldish. That's because you're incapable of critical thinking. But watch a few more streams, pump that white name up to a yellow one, and we'll see. We'll see what happens to your brain. But can you imagine if we did that back in like tribal societies? Like you have a tribe of a few hundred, and you've got a group of kids with the tribe. And then people are like, yeah, rather than like collectively raising the kids for the good of the tribe, we're gonna like teach every individual kid like a bunch of, like specific competitive values or whatever. Like, yeah, we're trying to like meritocracy the children or something rather than thinking of them as like like members of society, because they're members of society. They're just like stupid and little because they're kids, but they're still members of society. It's like we're projecting a lot of like weird individualism onto them when I feel like stuff like that should be their choice to make when they're old enough to really reconcile with it. When a kid is being raised by their parents, they're not old enough to understand how the piano lessons they're being forced to take are actually part of this like scheme on the parents' end to make them more college ready or more competitive or more like acclaimed than other children, or they're trying to like make up for the fact that the parents always wanted to be good with the piano but couldn't be, so now they're raising the kid to be like a facsimile for the the parents' desires. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, living vicariously. The important thing to keep in mind is that there are solutions to these problems. Just think a lot of people talk kind of counterproductively about them. Hell of a stun lock? It's not a stun lock. It's an important topic. It's also like very much like climate change. It's very much like it's an extremely important topic that will get talked about more and more and more as the problems with the problem, as the problem makes itself more evident. And I don't want fascists to be the only ones talking about it. Wouldn't that be bad a little bit? Like, like, because eventually it's going to be like, okay, like, for example, the birth rate crisis is, to my understanding, acknowledged in Japan and Korea, and they don't treat it as politically polarized. Like, you don't have to be a conservative in Korea to go like, yeah, the birth rate being below 1 is probably a big deal, right? They acknowledge that it's just a problem, not like a weird Nazi conspiracy theory, because it's obviously a problem over there, you know? So I'm just saying, like, we should probably have answers to this that that go beyond like build a white ethno state or camps. I'm just trying to offer you guys an understanding of the subject that's better than, well, I don't believe in humans existing anyway, or camps. Because right now it seems like we got kind of two evil castles.